At first, it was just trees, a clean green canopy stretching for miles. Mike had flown this forest a dozen times before, always for the same reason. Quiet aerial shots for a documentary. Nothing dramatic, nothing weird. Then the drone camera caught something that didn't belong. Not a tent, not a cabin, not a fallen tree, metal. A long, pale shape, swallowed by moss and vines like the forest had been trying to hide it. A plane. Not a fresh wreck, not a recent crash. This thing looked grown over, like it had been there long enough for the forest to start claiming it as its own. Mike didn't speak. He didn't even move the drone at first, because the strangest part wasn't that there was a plane. It was where it was. No trail, no clearing, no sign that anyone ever went there. Just deep woods and an aircraft sitting inside it like a mistake. Mike brought the drone back, but he didn't go home. He checked the footage again, zoomed in, paused on the cockpit. The windshield was fogged with grime. The door looked half open. Over time, he waited until the next morning, packed light, and followed the drone coordinates on foot. The deeper he went, the quieter everything got. Birds faded, wind thin. Even the branches stopped snapping under his boots, like the forest didn't want noise near that spot. Then he saw it. Up close, the plane was worse. The metal skin was dull and scarred. Leaves were piled inside the window. Vines clung to the frame like ropes. And the smell, not death. Mike stood at the entrance for a long moment. The door was cracked open, barely. He didn't push it right away. He listened. Nothing. He slid the door wider. It groaned once, then stopped. Inside, the cabin was stripped. Seats torn out, panels missing, wires hanging like dead veins. And on the floor near the back was something that instantly made his stomach tighten. A small, metal box placed carefully where it wouldn't slide. Mike stepped closer, slow. He wiped the dirt with his sleeve. A name appeared. Carla. Just that. No last name, no date, no explanation. Mike's throat went dry, because a box like that in a wreck like this meant one thing. Someone had been here long enough to leave something behind. Mike took one breath, then flipped the latch. The lid lifted, and he froze, because sitting inside, wrapped in a layer of faded cloth, was a notebook thick. On the first page was handwriting. Not a label, not a log, a sentence. They weren't a story, they were a warning. If you're reading this, it means they never found us. Mike didn't turn the page right away. The words sat there heavy, not dramatic, not emotional, practical. If you're reading this, it means they never found us. Us meant more than one person, or it meant time, or versions of the same person. Mike swallowed and kept reading. No shaking, no panic, just control. Day 3, the engine didn't fail. I shut it down. Mike stopped. Planes didn't land in forest by accident. Not like this. He scanned the cockpit again. No explosion marks, no fire damage. This wasn't a crash. It was a landing. Day 7, no one is looking yet. That's the point. Mike felt a cold pressure behind his eyes. He turned another page. Day 19, I've started removing the seats. More space, less noise. That explained the empty cabin. Someone had lived here long enough to remodel a plane. Day 42, the forest learned me. I stopped fighting it. Mike paused again. Outside the open door, the woods were completely still. No birds, no insects. Like the forest was listening. The diary didn't read like a confession. It read like instructions. How to stay hidden, how to collect rainwater from the wing joint, which panels could be removed without weakening the fuselage, where to sleep to avoid condensation dripping at night. This wasn't survival, it was adaptation. Mike reached the middle of the notebook. That's where the tone changed. Day 214, I stopped counting weeks. Time makes people want to return. Return to what? Day 387, they flew over today. I stayed quiet. They never looked down. Mike's chest tightened. Search planes. They had been close enough, and they missed it. Then he found the photo. It was tucked between 2 pages, creased and faded. A young woman, early 20s, maybe. Dirty clothes, sunburned skin, but her eyes calm. Not relieved, not scared. Mike sat back against the plane wall. This wasn't a mystery anymore. It was a decision. Someone had disappeared on purpose and succeeded. Near the end of the diary, the entries became shorter, less explanation, more final. Day 1102, I heard people today. 2 clones. Day 1103. If they find the plane, they'll think it's empty. Mike looked around again. From the outside, it did look abandoned, but inside, someone had lived here with intention. Day 1105. I packed only what matters. Leaving was harder than staying. That was it. No goodbye, no explanation, just absence. Mike closed the diary and sat there longer than he meant to. The forest sound slowly returned. a bird, then another, like whatever tension had been there, released. He carried the box out of the plane carefully, almost respectfully. Back home, Mike hesitated for 2 days before posting anything. Then he uploaded one image, just the plane, from above. No coordinates, no story. Within hours, messages started coming in. Most were jokes. Then one message stood out, short, direct. "That plane isn't empty." Mike's fingers hovered over the keyboard. He replied with one word, "Why?" The response came minutes later. "Because I lived there." They spoke privately after that. The name matched the diary. Carla. She didn't ask for the plane's location, didn't ask for the box back. She asked one thing only. "Did you open it?" Mike said yes. There was a long pause before her next message arrived. "Then you understand why I never wanted to be found." Carla didn't disappear because she was lost. She disappeared because she was done. Done with noise, done with expectations, done with being watched. She had flown until there was nowhere left to land, except where no one would look. The forest wasn't an accident. It was camouflage. Mike asked why she came back. Her answer was short. "Because staying invisible forever teaches you something dangerous." He asked what. She waited hours before replying, "How easy it is to vanish completely." The plane is still there. Mike never revealed the location. Carla never asked him to. Some places aren't meant to be marked, because if Mike hadn't flown that drone just a little lower, if he hadn't noticed something that didn't belong, that plane would have rotted into the forest. The box would have stayed sealed, and no one would have known that disappearing doesn't always mean dying. Sometimes it means hiding so well that the world forgets you were ever there.